That being said, guys, you know we are. My name is Anthony Angelillo, branch manager over here with a tag team powered by Paramount Residential Mortgage Group, CEO, founder of Tag Team Nation, and co-host of Damage Control Podcast of the Year. And we've got an amazing episode ahead of us, and amazing things that we're doing, that we're implementing, that Melinda and I will be launching very shortly. So we thank you, all the subscribers that show up and that listen after hours. So with that, I'll hand it to Melinda.
Yes, Melinda Grimaldi, real estate title attorney, Grimaldi Law Firm, the Closers Title Insurance Company. So excited for today's episode. We feel like it's really needed. We're seeing a lot of agents having a hard time, given the conditions of the market, getting their clients under contract. So, of course, even if you do all the things we're going to recommend today, it still is not going to be easy, but let's clean up your offers. Let's make your offers stronger so that we can minimize the amount of times you have to submit those offers, minimize the hours of showings you have to do, and have a happier, smoother process. So with that being said, Anthony, how are you seeing things different? Just before we get started, are you seeing things different on your end with offers? I know you have. That's why I'm asking you to share.
It is it's very, honest to God, it's awesome to see people adapt. They're adapting, otherwise they know they're going to die, in essence, right? So people adapt in situations that are opportunities that adversity is going to bring to them. We went over that in damage control. What I'm seeing is people that are adapting to the market, the trends of the market, nationwide, mind you, because we do a lot of Texas deals as well, and in California. But it's crazy. What I'm seeing is creativity at its finest, and we have taken highlights. Melinda and myself and the team have taken those highlights, and we've implemented everything on paper, put it on paper for you to send out for content, and we're going to go over that. But some of the key things that I'm seeing, it's crazy. It's crazy. I've seen inspections being waived. We talked about that in our last episode, which I think is nuts to do that. And we also talked about, appraisals being waived as well. People scrutinizing over programs. I just had this yesterday, and I don't want to go too much in detail to it because I think it's an episode that we can talk about. But agents just saying FHA is going to be lower. A program is going to determine a lower priced appraisal home? No. So just a lot of things that we're looking at. And I have, honest to God, probably the most pre-approvals I've ever had in my entire career. And I don't have the amount of closings I should. So from a data analysis and, a standpoint of looking over numbers, one would think we'd be having crazy record-breaking months into the 50 closing range, and we're not. Because the inventory, the median income's not supporting the inventory that's increasing. People aren't looking at that data. And then you're going to see more FHA, whether you like it or not, because there's a higher debt to income ratio. So if people's median income is not increasing and inventory buying power is the equity levels are increasing, then you've got no choice but to go FHA, because that's a higher debt to income ratio. That's 6%. That was going to matter, make or break a deal. So it's interesting to see all of that.
It is interesting because at the end of the day, there's still people out there with cash offers, baby.
Yeah.
So I just funded a deal right before the show started. A really nice house in Boca. The seller did one of those flat fee listing appointments or setups. Where she paid $300 just to get on the MLS. She had a bunch of calls for the following day, contracts offers, right away. A lot of them were with loans. At the end, she had 2 competing offers that she looked at. One was cash, one was conventional.
You went with cash?
She went with cash. I think, it is what it is, right? It's guaranteed. Well, it's never guaranteed, but it's more guaranteed than otherwise. So it is what it is at this stage. So sometimes there aren't cash offers. Sometimes we are looking at to loan, like last minute decisions, right? On the last 2 competitive offers. So we want yours to be in that group, and we're going to try to help get you there. So let's get cracking. The first thing, as an agent, I saw a meme yesterday. that said like the face you make when the other agent knows what they're doing. And it was like one of those kind of funny
Is
faces.
it funny or what?
It was funny. And I giggled about it because we had that experience too, right? Um, there's a few types of agents. There's the ones that know what they're doing, been doing it for a while, very experienced. There's the ones that don't know everything, but know that and ask for help. And then there's the ones that don't know everything, because we don't know everything, right? Unless you've really been in the industry for a long time. And then there's the ones that don't know everything, but like act as if, and then don't ask for help, and then really make it difficult, right? Like you make it harder on yourself. So like going in, being honest about where you know and what you don't know with the professionals around you definitely helps you get across better. So one of the first expression of your professionalism, of who you are, is going to be that offer that you present.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you don't think your offers are 100% on point, we have classes, we teach them all the time on preparing offers. Make sure you take one of those classes, please, because it's a reflection on who you are as a professional. And at the end of the day, if it's exactly the same, but you have a sloppy situation on your offer, but the price is the same, the loan amount is the same, they're going to take the clean offer over the messy offer,
Yeah.
because the clean professional, correctly filled out offer is going to say, well, this realtor is a better professional. They look like they have their, what, better together. I'm going to go, I suggest as your agent to go with this one, since they're exactly the same.
Yeah. Let me elaborate on that too. So what I am seeing, and so we're not real estate agents, right? But we've been doing this long enough that we analyze, Melinda and I, we're always, trying to absorb all the information, reading books and articles, and just trying to master our craft even better. But what I am seeing, okay, as a lender, I am seeing buyers agents not physically following instructions that the listing agent is literally mandated. And I've seen emails come back with all parties involved in the email saying, please follow instructions. You've just literally lowered yourself down on the totem pole. That's just my humble opinion. Whether you agree or disagree, I'm going to take a wild guess and say you're not scoring any brownie points with the listing agent if you're just going to half-ass it that way and not follow instructions properly. So
for sure.
and
I mean, 100%. But let's, so that's like the first impression, right? But let's talk about the offers on paper. I don't know if you guys realize, but every line that requires something to be added has a star on it.
yeah,
Right.
asterisk.
So go through before you submit that offer to your client, never mind the agent, go through, make sure everything's filled in, because if it's not, that's that's a problem. I actually have a contract that we're supposed to close next week on. It's a commercial one. Nevertheless, there's like 15 blanks.
Dude, so here's my thing. I don't what drives me nuts.
But what you got to do, if you don't understand, hang on, I'm going to cut you off for a second, because if you don't understand how to do it, we're here to help. There's people that can help you. There's your brokers, there's classes. I help my agents all the time. And I rather you come to me first, say, hey, how do I roll with this? Can you look at it before I get it signed, before I submit it? We're happy to do that. Like, you guys got to use your resources to make sure you know how to do it, because what happens is one box checked off or not checked off or something, it can make or break the situation later on, even if you pass muster and get your offer accepted. Because sometimes there's other agents that don't, like, there are types of properties that are not as competitive right now. There are certain things that are not, depending on where you are, there's certain challenging so sometimes people will take whatever they can get, but there's things that need to be fixed, and we're not doing it to make fun. We're doing it to say, use your resources.
So that's so making your offer clean as possible. That is number one. Okay. If you want to write that down, you'll get this content afterwards, but that comes with talking to your title attorney, Melinda, hopefully, and having your contract be clean, man. And if there's stuff that you don't know as a buyer's agent, or maybe you do know and you just need to validate that question, that is why you're using the resources, especially on the lending side. My rock star agents, one of them who's on right now, okay, we have a situation, but it doesn't mean that she's in one end of the room, I'm on the other, and we're just going to not figure it out. We're collaborating, we're talking to the listing agent, we're making sure that we're solving the issue. Prior to placing a bid, DUs need to be clean. We'll go over that in detail, but no sloppy DUs. If your lender is maxing out ratios or not showing assets, oh, we don't need it, we got plenty of money. Show the 401k asset, man. That's strength. That's gonna show a validation of that buyer. I mean, if they got $500,000 in a 401k and they've got 50 grand in the bank and that covers everything, show it. You need to show it. All right. Don't half-ass it and say we don't need to put it on DU. DU is what these listing agents are looking at. So clean means all around, not just you as a buyer's agent. I'm talking about the people that you're working with as well.
Definitely, definitely. And the reputation of those people, right? So that's a huge thing. Okay. So there's a lot of things you could do to your offer on paper. If you have a client anticipating a long inspection period, seller concessions, things like that, those are just, they're going to bite you in the butt. And having that conversation up front and having realistic expectations so that you're submitting offers that are actually competitive. Right, Anthony?
Yes.
You guys don't want to be working for nothing. You're already in a competitive market. You don't want to be submitting offers that you know are not going to get accepted. You need to put your clients in their place in a very nice way to say, this is not going to work.
Here's a highlight real quick. I don't want to get off topic. Yesterday, client doesn't send 401k, doesn't send the gift funds from mom. Why do I need that for a pre-approval? I need that for a clear to close. Bullshit. If a good listing agent watches the DU and there's a gift on there, which we put, we're not going to lie and say the checking account's already spiked. They're going to ask, where's the proof of funds from mom? Right? Show me that. That should be presented already in that offer, right? I'm taking a proactive approach. So it's little details like that that are going to win over and not have the listing agent question. People question on FHA because they're for low, moderate income buyers. Bullshit. Okay, you can have great credit and you can really take advantage of 3.5%. And maybe, it might be more beneficial to go FHA in some cases with 10% down, avoiding mortgage insurance after 11 years. Maybe that's the move that person wants to make. But there's a stigma about FHA and conventional. So, okay, if it's presented, like Melinda says, it's how you present it. I say what you say, as how you deliver it, basically. That's the concept. We're saying that delivering that is very important.
Okay, let's go to our next point here that we have. This one, you added this one, Anthony, and I it's actually a really good one. Avoiding asking for personal property to be included. Guys.
I just had this.
If you have apples for apples, right? Apples for apples, same dollar amount, same loan amount, same escrow deposit amount, but you have one borrower or one potential buyer asking for a slew of furniture that's to be included. Wait till after. Get under contract if you really want something and try to negotiate it in there.
You're buying a house. It's not a yard sale, man. Like, stop with the furniture, the piano, and this one. Nobody wants that. I mean, if it's there, it's there. Not in this market, though. If you start negotiating that, I just feel like that defeats the purpose. We're buying a house. You know what I mean? You're going to piss off the listing agent.
And not only that, first of all, you don't really want it to be on the contract to begin with, because it could cause an issue with the loan and then so it has to be a separate addendum anyway. So try to negotiate it later on, maybe during an inspection period. If you see a few things, maybe say, okay, throw me in that golf cart like I did when I was trying to purchase my house last year. Throw me in your golf cart, please. It didn't work. We got the credit. We got a credit instead of a golf cart, but whatever. I would have preferred the golf cart, because it was a brand new one. It was so nice. Anyways, I digress. He had a thing, right? So he didn't want to let go of that. So if you would have put that in the beginning, if I would have put that as part of my offer, I want the golf cart. Well, then that's an issue. So yes, it has to be outside of the transaction, even if it is going to be done. You really don't want, because then what happens, Anthony? It ends up turning into something that has to be evaluated, right? And how much of the purchase price goes towards the furniture versus the real estate, right?
Property. You could do, as Yara's saying, you could do outside addendums. Yes, all day long, do outside addendums. We don't want to hear that. We want to see it. That's just as good as saying, hey, we're going to replace the roof. What are we asking? Is the roof bad? Like, you're opening up a Pandora box. So like I said, it's how you deliver the goods, man, and how you're going to present it to that listing agent. All presentation, everything, and sales, period.
Okay, next. Offer above asking. Highest and best, people. Don't F around.
What are you seeing on your end for closing? A lot of people going above appraised value?
So I'm seeing a lot of those clauses being added about appraised value, but I'm not really in the loop about what was offered versus what was offered, because I don't see that part.
When you close it, do you see like if they're going?
I'm seeing a lot of buyers paying over appraised value.
Yeah, me too.
Out
of everybody.
But sometimes it's hard to understand, because if all these houses are closing higher, why are we still having like these appraisal issues? I don't know if you have any feedback on that, Anthony. I don't know, because we're getting the inventory now being closed at these higher above asking price amounts. So how soon will those valuations be increased, or are the appraisals saying, whoa, guys, take it easy? That's on you if you're paying more.
I'm gonna give my professional opinion, and it could be people could agree or disagree to it. But what I think and what I see is you've got equity levels soaring right now. And the issue is they're going off the income approach, right? So if Joe and Frank and Irene down the block just sold their house for X, that's what they're going to use. Their comparables are X, Y, and Z. Just because someone bought it for cash and it's got all the bells and whistles, it's based on the closed assessed value, yes, and that could be a comparable, but they're going to take the average and they're going to be adjusted. And what we're seeing is they're taking more of a conservative approach. So is that good? We've got our own panel of appraisers. They're located here. I've worked with them multiple times, so there's no conflict of interest. But what I am seeing is they're extremely conservative, and 9 times out of 10, it will usually hit. Most of the time, it's going to be either below, and then they're going to have to make an adjustment and come out of pocket for the difference. So what we're doing is we're going above asking price, but now listing agents are seeing that, saying, no, we want something in writing saying that you're going to pay X over appraised value, or we'll go into an escalation clause, or remove that appraisal. So there's different ways to approach that. And I'll go into that with you later on, but I just, it's, do I see it adjusting? Yeah, of course I do. I hope, I really do hope, because we're going to be in that pickle all too often. And I'm trying to avoid that by doing more of a proactive approach with the agent up front and saying, what are your comps? Like, do you think it's going to hit? And then getting on the phone with a listing agent and saying, hey, where's your justification? Well, send us your highest and best. Dude, what is the highest and best? You know what I mean? 2 weeks from now, I don't want to be in the same damn position. And now I've got a client that I just lost because I've pissed off, and now I don't have any deal. So it's interesting. It's very interesting how that's going.
Are you seeing people go down in budget to be able to afford this extra like cash that they're going to need to put down?
In Texas, they're buying the Taj Mahal for $280,000.
Right, but we're not in Texas, right?
Here, there's no inventory that can go down right now for the locations they're looking at. But yeah, I've seen some scenarios saying we've got to be more conservative because we don't have that money. I've seen a lot of gift funds. And I'm seeing, like I said, people being force placed into going FHA because there's a higher debt to income, but nobody's they're not. The buyer's agent, listing agents don't think that. They just straight off the bat, oh, low, moderate income buyer. We don't want it. They have no choice. Even if their credit's good, their ratios aren't working because their income's not supporting the property. See, so it's really something that,
Okay, so let's keep finding ways to make this a little bit easier, right? So the next point is to put down a stronger deposit, right? As we always say in my family, money talk, bullshit walks.
Who says bad love?
Yeah, my dad's line. I like that line. I use it all the time. The reality is it's true, right? All everything else equal, whoever has more money in the pot is going to have a stronger suggestion. So, and don't tell me this, if you have a VA buyer, don't tell me this BS that, oh, it's zero. Doesn't matter. You still need a deposit. You still need a strong deposit.
Yeah, just
right?
have, yeah.
It's gonna be turned away, because no matter what, you're gonna have closing costs. And yes, there's the occasional scenario where the closing costs will be wrapped up in the loan, but you still got to put money down to get your offer accepted. Then the buyer gets refunded, right, at closing, with if there's extra money left over after all those things are wrapped up. So guys, make it strong. But then if you're going to make it strong, keep your tight. You got to be super tight on those deadlines, right? Because we're not talking about $1,000, $2,000 escrow, even 5,000. You're going to need more than that in these days.
I'm seeing 10,000. 1 to 3% on the purchase price is what they're putting down. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot.
I'm seeing like 20. I'm seeing this cash deal that we just did. We closed today, 40,000, 20 up front, 20 in escrow, 20 after inspection.
That's cash, but yeah,
but the reality is that cash should be available anyways. Everyone's going to be putting at least 30, 20, whatever it is. So use that, in there to make it, right now, this is not for the weak of heart. You're not going to have those buyers. You got to have those. You're going to have, if use your energy on the buyers. Like, I got to get in the house. I got to go in that school zone. I got to move to Florida and start my job. I got to, those are like, yeah, let's go take a look and see what's out there. You're going to waste your time because they're not going to be aggressive, and you need to have those buyers be aggressive.
Or do what I did yesterday and inform and educate the consumer of why we needed the gift fund letter signed right now. I wanted to show that, to know that, look, we got everything in order. It's fully underwritten. If you're putting a larger down deposit and your buyer is saying, that's too much, why do we have to do it? You need to know how to sell that and close that, and now inform and educate what's going on in the market. As a buyer's agent, if they don't do 10 or 20,000 or something that's going to be aggressive, you need to inform and educate. That's my opinion.
Question: can gift funds be used for escrow?
It's for closing costs. So yeah, I mean, they're one of the same. So yeah.
Like, for example, to make the stronger, deposit, they might need that gift fund to make the stronger deposit. So they had the wire going straight from mom to escrow to closing agent. Here's the gift letter.
The easiest way to do that: wire Melinda. Okay, show the donor's ability, which is the bank statement. Sign the gift letter, you're done. That way you don't need a paper trail. It's the easiest way. Never get a paper trail of both. That's a messy way of doing it. Wire it straight to the title company.
I agree.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, if you could do that, go ahead. That's great. But make sure you're documenting everything so that you're presented that to the listing agent. If they say, oh, gift, people are
right
off the bat, they're going to discriminate. Oh, they have money, or they broke? No, it's just, they're leveraging money and families contributing. There's no big deal there. All right. Okay. What else? Yeah.
We got waiving the appraisal contingency. So let's talk about appraisals, right? We already kind of been touching that in the last few episodes and earlier in the show. The reality is buyers are putting more money down. Even if you feel confident with a price and what it will appraise at, adding that appraisal contingency is the issue. So, why people also don't like VA FHA loans right now is that those writers automatically include the appraisal contingency versus.
You're right.
So you need a proactive statement saying something about appraised value if you want to, otherwise it's like you're submitting an appraisal contingency. So something to think about on there. And then by adding a proactive statement saying the buyer will agree to pay, if they are, obviously, whatever amount above appraised value. Now, in a conventional, you add the best strategy to really keep an appraisal contingency is to have the appraisal contingency added to the contract. If you don't have it, as long as you're within your loan approval period, you could still get it you could still get your loan denied and then get deposit back, with that strategy. You work closely with your loan officer, say, okay, the property didn't appraise, we're within our 30 days of loan approval period. Great. Deny the loan. And it's still technically contingent because you can't get the loan without the appraised value. So there's ways to work it, but you got to be on top of your deadlines again. Right, Anthony?
Yeah, you just gave me something to think about. I think everyone needs to inform and educate on the differences between FHA and conventional. I talk to so many listing agents, and the words that come out of their mouth just make me cringe when I hear FHA is going to comp lower. They're more stringent on, appraisals. Dude, we're talking 4-burner stoves and gate around, community, all that stuff. So at the end of the day, waiving appraisal contingencies, to get back on topic. What I am seeing is a lot of them. And I know that the next question over here is the escalation clause, not to jump. If I'm going to do one of them, we just had this scenario and it closed last Friday. Vera, who's actually on our show, she closed it. There was a scenario that there was an escalation clause for 560. I then got everyone on the phone and I said, look, you're showing the cards to the seller that you're going to 560. So you're not hiding anything. You're willing to go up to 560. The comps aren't supporting it. You just told me they're not. I did runs of comps and I don't think the thing's going to even appraise for 510. Never mind 515 where they thought. So I said, why don't you just waive the appraisal contingency? You'll pay up to 545. Everyone agreed. And sure as you know what, it came in at 510, the appraisal. So 5,000 below where our marker was. So it was an extra $5,000. We anticipated that and everyone closed. Escalation clauses or appraisal contingency, I'll say appraisal contingency every single time, but I would be very, very meticulous of how you write that offer. And I would speak to your title attorney or attorney representing you and make sure that you have a way out. Is it still inspection contingency, clean title? And then you still have your finance and contingency as well. So even if the appraised value comes in lower and there's assets, cash to close, you still have an exit per the financing contingency as well. All right, nobody put that in writing saying that, if it doesn't appraise, that you're going to have to pay out of pocket. So my play on that is waive the appraisal contingency. You're good. If you put it in writing, now you're SOL if that goes to litigation, right? Am I wrong or right?
Yeah, I mean, if you put something in writing, then you got to stick to it. So you're going to have no choice but to go by what you said, right? So that it is what it is. And it's super important to make sure that your buyer understands what's agreed to in writing must be later followed. Now, there are other outs, but you need to know that if you pass those outs or if those outs are no longer available, it is what it is, right? So I saw people agreeing to like 50 grand over appraised value, and later it was a short appraisal and they had to come to the table with that extra money, and then they were trying to find their way around it, and they got a few grand off the top just to make it happen. The sellers are like, whatever, but I'm seeing that more and more where buyers are like, wait a second, wait.
And that's the thing. I'm not trying to sit here and manipulate the system. I'm just saying, if I'm going to choose as a buyer's agent, I'm going to waive the appraisal contingency. Where's my hard stop? Have that conversation with your buyer. And then you've got an exit because you're not putting something on paper. If I say 10,000 over asking price and it comes in 25,000 below asking price, dude, that's going to be a battle, man. Like,
yeah,
not
definitely.
a good play. And if I'm a listing agent, you've waived the appraisal contingency, psychologically, they think it's a validation, like, oh, this person has money. Okay, great. I just think collaboration is key in this situation. This is very difficult. That's a topic that is,
For sure. Of course, the last point is if they can pay with cash, pay with cash.
Yeah, right.
Right. But some people might not want to pay with cash. They might not want to tie up all their funds. But the reality is they could always refi the funds out, right, Anthony? So like close, get organized, get as aggressive as you can, and then pull the equity out after closing whenever the time is right, depending on the loan type you're doing, right?
Yeah. I mean, rates might be less attractive, but that's all right. It depends because it's based on loan to value as well, credit, all of that stuff. it really depends. There's season and turn times as well with
Right.
Fannie Mae, 6 months, I believe it is. So, it
Is
really
there a
depends.
seasoning for conventional?
Yeah, that's Fannie, six
Oh,
months.
that's
I'm pretty certain it's 6 months. I'm like 100%.
gotcha. All right. So there you have it. Those are our points of, oh, wait, there's your
There's a
offer.
couple
Oh,
more.
there's a more. Go ahead, Anthony. I
Oh,
didn't scroll down.
so yeah, there's actually a couple more. So we've got pay with cash, which we just talked about. I put on there making larger down payment. We did talk about this with VA a little bit.
Yes.
I do think a larger down payment from like our financial aspect, if they're doing a condo, especially, I'm going to highly suggest 25%. All right. But if they're doing a single family home and they're doing 5% down, I would say, look, let's just make it 10 if they have the money. Some people want to leverage. Some people don't want to liquidate. I get that. I'm one of those people, but if I'm a listing agent, I think that is going to really attract a listing agent because it shows that you're really supporting the fact that you have things in order, that you're financially backed up with assets. It's a good financial position to show that you're going to put more down. And I am so against it, so it's hard for me to say that. But in this type of market, like I said, you've got to adapt. We've got so many pre-approvals. How are we getting them out? How are we pushing the finish line? Otherwise, we're not going to have any deals. It's trying to get creative, like with that aspect, and meeting all financial obligations by showing the listing agent, look, they've got assets, they've got a 401k, they're willing to do 20% down right now, put hard money in escrow, up to 10, 20,000. What is it going to take? So that delivery is key.
Love it. Love it. Love it. The next point here is talking about post occupancy. You want to touch on that, or I'll give you this point. This, just how your buyers are having a hard time finding someone, usually the sellers need to find somewhere to go as well. So by allowing some post occupancy or having that communication, like should buyer need post occupancy, or if it's a requirement in the MLS that it's going to be there, having that conversation or expectations that to allow a seller to stay after closing. We never really like that, but nowadays I'm seeing it more and more. Almost every single file is having some sort of post-oc situation. And so I think that's actually a really good point you added there, Anthony.
Yeah. So why I added that is a listing agent that we're actually working with right now. You and I both, we closed on prior, gave me that idea. And I asked him, like, why did you do that? I'm curious. And he said, because a lot of lenders are failing to close. So then I'm obligated for my sellers that it's a contractual obligation for him because it's contingent on the sale of the home to buy their house. So he doesn't want to have the whole thing crumble. And now he's to blame. I'm like, wow, that's really, really cool to think of it that way. This guy's like forward thinking at its finest. So I think that's great. I think everyone should do that. You're protecting your listing, your seller as a listing agent. And from a buyer's agent standpoint, one should consider that too, because it gives time. If it's taken longer to close instead of closing in 21 days, I'm okay with that. All right. I'm all notorious about this 21-day close, but if it's 30 or 45 days, very, very important to do something like that.
I love it. I love it. I like it. It's the reality. And even if they are under contract for a purchase right away and they're contingent or they're waiting on that, by having that, it gives them cushion. So if there's a delay, they could stay. Also, you know what it is for a seller in this market or any market to like rush to pack everything up, get out of the house, and then last minute there's delay.
Yeah.
Or a cancellation.
There's a question here from a legal standpoint. I mean, look.
Hang on, not everyone sees the question, Anthony. So let's ask if a seller stays after closing with no security deposit or damage agreement left behind, are they responsible for damages? That depends on what was signed, what was agreed to. And there is a risk that they do damage more than what the escrow holdback would be also. The reality is most people wouldn't damage a property like that, but it's a possibility, or there's a possibility that they don't leave when they're supposed to leave. So then you have to evict. There's always that risk. It's always obviously the understanding you have to explain those options to the buyer so that they know what the deal is and what their exposure is.
The reason, just so everyone's clear on this, the reason why this gentleman did this is to add at a buffer, okay, for both sides of the transaction. That way nobody's left behind, because it's contingent on the funds needed to close on their property. And that's the reason they did that as well. I'm seeing also, just to give this observation, home warranty deeds, like Kashana's doing that right now too. So shout out to her. I think that's genius. The seller home warranty is amazing. That's an incentive for the seller for any plumbing, electrical issues, or AC units. That's pretty outside the box thinking. So kudos to her. And hopefully we have a contract this morning. I think it got accepted. So it's just being creative, guys, and really going outside the box to look at ways to strengthen the presentation of what you're trying to offer, right?
And if you can get a hint somehow, whether it's from the listing, from a conversation with the listing agent, as to what really the pain point for that seller is, and working that angle. So if it's post occupancy, if they've had several canceled files because of this, or they're concerned of that, whatever it is, if you can pick up something by just paying attention and then using that, right? So it's like anything in sales, they say, you're having a conversation, you pick up what the pain points are and using that to basically get your deal done, so and having that edge that we're all looking at,
Absolutely, listening and having that edge, it's extremely important.
Yep. Good stuff. Do you want to regroup and recap us, Anthony, as we are wrapping up with our agenda?
So bottom line, everything needs to be clean. All right, clean data in, clean data out. I'm all about that, as we are this morning cleaning our data for our leads and scoring things and making sure everything's collectively together, and more helicopter view on how we're running business. So you, as a buyer's agent, make sure that you are taking the time and not rushing. And I know that it's a frenzy out there, and I know that things need to be done prior. If I am in your shoes, all right, and I am not one to say this, but I will say it on record, because it took me a long time to figure this one out. I am like, let's go, let's go, let's go. We all know that Ant is that way, but I've stepped back, and maybe it's because I'm getting older, I guess, but I've stepped back, I've analyzed the situation, and what I think is the right way is prep your buyer, man. Get things ordered, get docs in, get DU in, maybe even underwrite the file. All right. If your lender's not doing that, underwrite the file, set proper expectations, and it will be, you'll execute faster. There's no secret sauce. I mean, that is it. That's really what you should do as a buyer's agent up front, is prep, order everything, and then, run DU and get things in order, and make sure, title is, all set with Melinda. The next thing is avoiding any of the obstacles that you're going to see, which we just went over. Their cheat sheet will go out. I would look at that. And then the final thing that I'm going to end with is make sure the DU is presented from a lender standpoint. Anyone that has a half a brain, that's a listing agent, that's a good listing agent, they're going to look at that. So do not have your lender just send in something that is just missing, missing assets, or even assets, or submission runs of 18, or debt to income ratio of 49.99. You're not winning anything over that. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah. And then like I always say, those are pre-approval letters. They're just as good as the paper that they're written on. Like, who's issuing that? If you have a buyer insisting on using a bank, I will choose a lender over a bank any day if it was my listing, if it was my property, because you're more likely to close on time, even more so if it's a condo, but really in anything, you're more likely to close on time if you're using a direct lender. That's my personal opinion. I see it all the time in our day-to-day closing preps. The ones with the banks need more time. The ones, it is what it is, guys. So you telling that to your clients not because you're trying to steer. Like, do you want your offer to get accepted? Yes. Okay. Here's what you got to do. You got to get a different lender, because there is a bad taste in the mouth of the industry for these banks. And that's just the reality. They're not efficient. They're not all on the same page. There's different departments that are very disconnected. So that creates slowdowns. That creates bad news coming the day you're supposed to close all the time. So it's a little tip there that I really think I strongly urge you guys to sway your buyers away from big institutions or online.
It's a bureaucracy. There's a lot of red tape. That's what we say. I never want to undermine the competition, but I mean,
but I can. The reality is in this industry, we work so hard to get to the closing table, right? And all that energy to find out something that would have been known before closing, or something that should have been known in the beginning of the process. We are now at the final days and being told, or the day of closing, or after 3 extensions, you can't close because of something that should have been known, right? Certain things take time to collect data, but there's certain things that should have been known. There's certain things that don't need to wait so long to order. Why are we doing that? That's just the nature of the industry, that we wait on other people to get stuff for us. And sometimes when there's this big bureaucracy, it slows it down even further. No. So with that, give these tips, expectations to your clients. Consider them when you're sitting down to prepare an offer. And if you are a damage control subscriber and need help with your offers, I'm happy to set up little mini workshops for you guys where we could have more Q&A with the as-is contract and go over questions with you guys. So just send us that information and we will find different times where we could do little mini workshops where you guys just jump on and we answer Q&A for that.
And make sure your lender is, look, I'll give you one secret. Write this down. Get your pen and paper together. Go do yourself a favor and get either Vidyard or BombBomb and create a video, and then email the buyer's agent or listing agent, so that way they can correspond with the seller and deliver that message. I don't know why nobody does that, but I'm seeing everything that's written down. That's a whole novel. That's great. It's clean. It's neat. All of that could be all in one video that's going to get passed on to the seller, and the seller can now have an emotional attachment, or that connection might be different. That's what I'm doing, and it's working from a lender standpoint. Maybe the buyer's agents need to hear that, and that goes into the presentation as well. I think and I believe that body language and tonality is important, right?
Definitely, for sure. All right, guys. So that's a wrap of episode 55. Hope you found it useful. Remember, our show is free for agents. So if you are a subscriber and enjoy what you hear, or have learned something new, make sure to share the show with your friends and that are also in the industry. And we'll be adding new ways you can stream the show in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that. And again, reminder, if you need help with your offers, we're always here to support you. And we'll create little mini workshops to review those offers together. Anything else you want to add, Anthony? Or is that a wrap?
And finish strong. Thanks, guys.
All right. Hey, guys, first of the month, new quarter. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Have a good one. Take care.
Bye.